Hi everybody, welcome. Yeah, I just started this and immediately stopped it because I was like, I am not. No, that is no way to represent myself. How y'all doing? I'm taking a sip of some tea. I'm taking a sip of some tea, and that's funny to me, but probably not to you. It's strawberry hibiscus. If you're curious, this is what it looks like. I guess. Yeah, interesting stuff, man. It's still hot, so my tongue and the roof of my mouth burns very easily, so I am not a fan of hot liquids or foods because it burns my tongue or the roof of my mouth. I got related to. But I feel like I need to take a sip before we start. So today is probably going to be fairly short and very unorthodox. Y'all know, well, if you don't know, well, now you know. I'm telling you, I am informing you. I like to be a little unorthodox sometimes. Or like just have fun. So today I got my little Skittles piggy bank that I got when I was a literal child. So I've had it for over a decade for sure, and I've got some change in it. And we're gonna pull a few coins, and we're gonna read them, or we're gonna see. We're gonna see how we're gonna read them. I'm switching over to this set today. The light set favors the number 3. Let's see what this set favors. I actually, honestly, would prefer to get a 3 today. I would less prefer to get like a 1. Just because I haven't done anything for cardinal signs. And also, I made a playlist. Oh, I made a few playlists. Excuse me. For the mutable signs, for the fixed signs, and then if this is the first cardinal sign video, then I'll do one for the cardinal signs and also the elements if they ever come out. And they'll be where playlists are. If you're curious. And I guess, I'll roll this and we'll get into it. I actually feel like going live today. I might not though, because I have a lot of stuff to do, but we'll see. So the number we got is 4, which is interesting. I was kind of feeling the number 4. Let's see if the number 4 comes out again, because if the number 4 comes out again, then this was my second guess. Oh, the number 3. Okay, so we're going to be doing air signs. Air signs, air signs. And I still need some cards because I forgot that I do that. Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. Air signs. First element. Starting the air sign playlist. Ay, ow, like that. I'm just going to give this a few shuffles, even though I don't really need to. And the erudite and the 3 of wands, the politic, are at the bottom of the deck. So that's smart politics. Well, air signs, especially Gemini, can have a silver tongue energy, but with the politic and the erudite, it's about cleaning that up, and it's about presenting yourself and positioning yourself in a way that benefits you and aligns to what it is that you want in some ways that honestly may be a little more earthen than air. Just meaning that it may require not necessarily more forethought or foresight, but a more of a practical sort of approach at the same time, right? And it's not about being completely like with the sun. Ooh, the sun and the archangel of healing. It's not about being completely like realistic to the point where you're shooting things down, but it is to have a deeper, maybe more spiritual approach, or to go after things that are a little bit more significant, or to put a little bit more meat behind how you sort of do things, to build something out, to flesh something out, for it to be more than just talk, basically. So, bottom of the deck, we have Justice, which is Libra. Libra coming out the gate red day. And then we have Temperance, Sagittarius, and the 6 of Cups, followed by Apocalypse, which is Judgment. And the Chariot is behind Apocalypse, behind Judgment. I only know that because I see it popping up. So that is like 4 out of 5 of the cards at the bottom of the deck are majors. With Temperance and the Memory Keeper, I feel like this is going through a lot of memories. I feel like this is a lot of baggage. And it may not necessarily be a lot. It could be one thing that affects different areas and aspects of your life. So maybe you've been cleaning up different areas and aspects, but now it's going to be leading kind of sort of to a bigger, more overall picture. It's almost like, you clean up the side messes before you get to the big mess. But as you're cleaning up the side messes, it makes the big mess less messy. And so it may actually be, you may find it's a lot easier to work through something now than it was in the past. Something that was really daunting before, maybe came from childhood, but it's finally like time to go for the big one, is what I'm getting with this. And then judgment into the chariot. I feel like if you can be decisive in action, and then the outlaw right behind. What is up with all the majors at the bottom of the deck for air signs? Okay, cute work. And then with the hangman, it's going to be an area like whatever this is about, it's kept you stuck in a lot of ways for a long time. And with judgment in the chariot, it's like, it's that point of reaching your breaking point. Enough is enough. I'm not going to be stuck or stagnant or still, or I'm not going to allow this to affect me anymore. I'm going to go out there and claim what is rightfully, sorry, mine. So for air, I'm looking for the Fool. I believe. I'm pretty sure I'm looking for the Fool. So I'm looking for the Fool. Justice is for Libra, the Lovers is for Gemini, and then the Star will be for Aquarius. And then the Empress. Look at all these majors. Hold up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 5 of the bottom 6 cards. No, 7. 6 out of 7. Because I don't know how to count. 6 out of 7 of the bottom 5 cards were all majors for air signs, with the Empress and the 5 of Cups, like rounding it out. The 5 of Cups in this deck speaks to, and then there's the Corruptor. So this speaks to like the things in self that we've left behind, which could again talk about whatever this is right here, since childhood, that have led us down a path of further and further corruption. And that corruption it's like getting further and further from the truth of who we are, or who you are. And it almost feels like you've lost yourself at one point. But the message of the 5 of Cups in this deck is to like turn around and pick up those pieces of self that may have been reason for people to alienate and isolate us in the past, but it's what makes us special, unique, and powerful in our own way, because it allows us to do something or to approach something that is more uniquely ours. And that's all I'm going to say on that, even though I kind of want to say more with the cards coming out, but that's fine because this is not what it's all about. Today is about the change. Oh, change! And I'm using change. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I should not be surprised that we started with such significant change. Okay. Let's get into this. Let's get into it. Oh no. Okay, we're using the Seeker. This deck has 3 Fool cards, and I didn't even think of which one I was going to take, but the Seeker came out first. Or should we go? We'll go for all 3. Why not? So the Seeker is going to go with Libra, because they both came out first. Next is the Star. After the Star is the Giver. 6 of Orbs, which is very interesting. And then the Lovers came out last, with the Ace of Cups and the Ace of Pentacles behind the Lovers, with the Strength card, and the Ten of Wands, the Three of Wands, and the Erudite again. 8 and 9 of Pentacles. So the Keeper is coming out for Aquarius. That means that Gemini is going to get the Initiate. And Gemini's been getting a lot of love. 7 of Pentacles at the top of the deck, the Gardener. Because I keep getting mutable signs. So Gemini's gotten the most of my attention out of these 2. And I guess I did fixed signs once. So the first card that came out is a cardinal sign. And I haven't done cardinal signs at all. So yay for that, right? Okay. So these are just the significators. They don't, they just like anchor in the energy basically. And I did not, I don't have a timestamp thing, so I'm going to pause this for a second. Well, I'll just pause it as I go, because I'm recording this, so I have that luxury, that Luxura, the luxury to do so. Took a trip, took 3 friends. Maybe someone's going on a trip. Someone went on a trip. Um, Maybe there are some people are dynamics that we thought would be around for a while, but we're realizing how healthy they aren't for us, or kind of sort of how we repeat and play out the same dynamic in different ways. Now, sometimes it's possible for us to think that we've attracted a similar dynamic, but if we can open our mouths and speak and communicate, we may find that that's actually not the case. And especially in situations where we know that that's not the case, but our silence and the past and the passing days kind of makes it feel like it might be. Again, that communication, I feel like, would clear it right up. So let's get into this. I guess I'll just put this here. I don't know how I'm doing this. And let's start with a Libra. Libra. Oh, wait, no, I do overall. I do overalls first, and then I go into the different ones. So overall, air signs. I mean, I talked a lot with the cards, so I think that is the overall. So let's get into Libra. Let's get into Libra, shall we? Libra, Cardinal. I'm starting with you. This is why I. This is why I immediately stopped the other video. It is what it is today. It is what it is. Take it as it resonates. If you don't like it, leave. Bye. No offense taken. Have a good one. All right, Libra. Let's get it. Oh, wait. Okay, if I can get anything. I have some interesting coins in here. Okay, Libra, so you got 3 pennies, 3 cents. Oh, hold up. Now, 1 came up on heads, and 2 came up on tails. Now, on the penny, we have Abraham Lincoln, who was Honest Abe, who... Oh, I just heard Chino cry. It's interesting that we got all this Honest Abe energy for the Justice card, because Abraham Lincoln kind of sort of symbolizes an energy of a turning point in a system that causes separation, that causes, it's like gradation, it's like breaking down white light into the spectrum, into the rainbow. So it's almost like so we can see what needs to happen or where the thing is, but eventually we're supposed to come back together stronger afterwards. So it's necessary. Now, 2 tails and 1 head. I wish I could do the I Ching with these. I know that it can be done because it's like a heads or tails type thing. But, well, I could take the. Hold up. Give me 1 second to try to figure this out. Because I'll take a head as solid. No, heads are yang, tails are yin. Like I said, y'all, this is going to be highly experimental. So if you don't want to be a guinea pig, then bye. I'm sorry, I don't know what's wrong with me. Oh no, I need 3. I need 3. This is fantastic. Okay, so we have 1 yang and 2 yins, and that's lake. Interesting. And it's interesting that it's lake because in this example right here, I see 1 yang, 2 yins, lake, and it's tied to key 6, which is the lovers. So, and there's also this Iron Hand energy. The Lover's in the Nine of Cups. And I feel like this will be interesting. Let me try to dig into what Libra is. Well, Libra is Venusian. I feel like Libra can be a little self-sacrificing. I'm drinking all my tea for you, Libra. And you have the Seeker here. So these are a lot of pieces. So we're seeking a truth. 3 strikes and someone's out. And I feel like someone's already got 2 strikes. So, okay, it feels like someone has 2 strikes. Pennies, it's the smallest denomination. It's made of copper. Copper is an excellent conductor of electricity, copper wires. But they have to be insulated, right? And if the wire isn't insulated, then if you touch it, girl, you're going to get shocked. No surprise there. Maybe you're going to be shocked by some news. I'm sorry. Oh, this is my energy today. So it's like 3 strikes, you're out. There's a wire, there's electricity, there's a current here, there is some kind of attraction. But electricity and water don't mix because water is also, I think it's a pretty good conductor. It just like current just runs right through it. So if you're in the water and some electricity goes into that water, it's going to run through the water, it's going to run through you. People have water in their bodies. But with a certain structure, it can be magnetized, right? Like if you tie or if you wrap a copper wire around a nail and then you hook it to 2 ends of a battery, it'll magnetize the nail or the metal. And metal rods also ground electricity. So there's an energy of conduction and grounding here. Now, with the Seeker, I feel like this is related to, oh my gosh, look, 1 head and 2 tails. You see? 1 that's bloomed and 2 that haven't opened up yet. So that's a thing for you guys. So it's not 2 strikes. This is only strike 1. Okay. All right. So if it's, I'll read it both ways. If it's like 3 strikes and someone's out and they already have 2 strikes, I feel like there could be this possibility of like Libran energy being overly lenient and not giving that person a 3rd strike or that situation a 3rd strike. It could be a job that's unfulfilling and draining and where you're not appreciated or compensated for the work that you do. But there's a feeling of needing it. There's a feeling of the balance that it brought. And not that it was necessarily harmonious, but it feels more like routine. And I think sometimes Libra energy can fall into routine, but treat it as if it is balance. And I think that's where, like, if Libra falls into a certain routine, they can get stuck in the energy of like martyrdom and self sacrifice. But also the other way around, if your situation has not necessarily been the greatest, I feel like then you can fall into a pattern or a routine of sabotage or of not of being kind of toxic, um, but not necessarily in extreme ways. It's just a limiter, and so it's like what it does is instead of creating peace and harmony and balance, it can get into the energy of disrupting peace and harmony and balance if peace, harmony, and balance is not like the status quo that Libran energy is preserving within a person or even within the legal system, the way that we sort of, it can work sometimes. But on the other hand, I feel like this is like, if it's a only 1 strike type of scenario, then I feel like it goes back to what I was saying earlier, as far as like, we're in this situation where maybe we've met someone or we're in a space, and this could honestly go either way because I did mention it before I even got here. But it's like we think that something is what everything else was. And so we're already ticking and checking off on our box. But we're not necessarily communicating it. And I have a feeling that if we communicate it, we would actually see or understand that this situation, person, job, whatever, isn't what we've always had. And what it's actually doing is it's putting us in a position to speak up if that's not something that we're used to be vulnerable if that's not something that we're used to, and to voicing those things before someone accrues 3 strikes without knowing that they even got one. And then you're already ready to like be like, oh, this disrupts my harmony, my peace, and my balance. I'm Libra girl, and you're throwing my scales off. And sorry, could be a Pisces because fish have scales. I don't know why. I mean, yeah, I don't know why that came to my mind. Dragons have scales. What else has scales? I don't know. I thought alligators for a second, but I don't think they have scales. Anyway, but alligator energy is also, especially in the wild unknown, it's an energy of something that lurks and that waits for its moment. And so maybe you're like this alligator in the water waiting for somebody or something to fall apart. But again, I feel like the shoe doesn't have to drop, or the other shoe doesn't have to drop. And if it does, then like you're the cat that knocked it over. So I think either way, some communication would be good. But make sure like that you're heard, but also make sure that you're listening. And I can look at a year because these on the head side, they have a year. The year here is 1963. No, wait, that's 1943. The year here is 1943. That is a 17. 1910, yeah, that's a 17. So maybe the year 1943 is together for you. And I don't know if anybody was born in 43. Hold up, wait. If you were born in 43, that'd be like, you'd be like almost 80. So what, 77? Wow. And 77 is a master number, spiritual number. It could be also about making peace with endings. Making peace with endings, but also making peace with the way that you have lived your life until this point. But there's also a recognition that it's not over. So if there are things that you want to change, then you can. And that's what I have for Libra. Again, take it as it resonates, girls and guys and non-binary people, because that's how we should do it anyway, right? Regardless. Did I talk about lake? Well, that's the alligator in the lake. I feel like lake, it speaks to things that can run, even though that's more like pond energy. It speaks to things that run a lot deeper than we think. And again, I think that's going back to that sort of Six of Cups energy. Um, and it feels like tar bubbling up from the bottom of the lake. Excuse me. Maybe there's an oil pipe under this lake that some oil is escaping. And so we need to get down there and fix it. But it's vented pressure. So this isn't something that you can just patch up. I feel like this is something that requires work. So if therapy isn't your thing, maybe consider it. Or again, just like having really honest conversations. I almost completely doused myself in fairly warm tea because oh, all right, that's what I got for you, Libra. I hope you have a good one, everyone, if you see this, and I hope you're acting in alignment to make it even better. And if you're going through a rough time, I hope it eases up a little bit. But if you're going through a rough time because there's something that you need to do, deal with, or address, then I hope you do what you need to do, deal with what you need to deal with, and address what needs to be addressed. Because I feel like if you just try to patch up that pipe while it's like not a disaster, it's like it's not taking care of the problem that caused it to like that little break to pop up in the first place. So if there's some pressure buildup and you patch it up, then it's probably going to explode and you're going to have a whole situation with hopefully some Dawn soap, because those are the ones in the commercials, right? Where they're like rinsing the ducks and the penguins and stuff. Also, you may be a little bit more concerned with the environment, because that's a thing. Yeah, I want to kick these off to the side. All right, that's what I got for you, Libras. Catch you next. Aquarius. I almost called y'all Gemini. I almost said Gemini, actually. Aquarius, Aquarius, Aquarius. Y'all might like this, right? Aquarius can be like unique and pioneering. I love that. Pioneering in multiple ways. And Aquarius is actually a very interesting intersection because not only does it have technology, but it also has like humanitarianism and stuff like that. And so Aquarius has an interesting integrative energy where I feel like a lot of times we sort of view it as competitive, or it's always been shown to be competitive, right? It's like, well, as technology advances, it reaches the point where it's smarter than humanity, and then the robots turn on us, and all of a sudden, microwaves are what microwaves are, I don't know, evil or something. But it's this understanding of progression and an understanding of the unknown. But hold on, this is weird. But it's not it's an energy of progress. And it's like, well, Aquarius is the star. Okay. Because I was gonna be like, it's like Aquarius is bearing the light that goes into tomorrow. But it doesn't do that by being afraid of the darkness that lies beyond. Right? So if Virgo is the hermit, then Aquarius would be like the Ben Franklin or the Thomas Edison or the Nikola Tesla. Because it's like Virgo takes the lantern, but Aquarius creates the light. So we'll see. And I mean, Aquarius has the keeper. So I'll see what I can do for you, Aquarius. This may be a little bit beyond me. Okay. I have some interesting coins in here, but I don't know if they'll come out. Ooh, Aquarius has all silver. It's, oh wait, and a penny. I didn't see the penny. Oh, two pennies. Y'all got two pennies. Sorry. And this is an older penny, so we get the Lincoln Monument. And tail side, we have a head side penny. I guess I could show these off. Now this is interesting. So we have two nickels that are looking at each other. One is in reverse, and then we have a quarter. Is this a George Washington? Yes, it's head side. There's another head that's also looking here. Now at the top, I think that quarter is on tails. So if you can see that, I think you can kind of see it. How the two nickels are like facing each other. Yeah, yeah. And then we have that George Washington at the back. So there's two of everything. Two pennies, two quarters, two nickels, no dimes, but two nickels is a dime. And here's this, George Washington. And then here's this. Now let me look at this one. Because what state is this? Mount Rushmore. Oh, the year is 2013, and it's Mount Rushmore. So it's not even a state. But the thing about Mount Rushmore is that it was actually built on like sacred grounds, wasn't it? So there is an energy of, I don't know if y'all can see that, it don't matter. Mount Rushmore, there is an energy of, it's like while we are, or while you are progressive and pioneering and all of this other stuff, I think it's also important for you to remember where it is that you've come from, but not in a necessarily humbling type of way, just in a way of like you remembering where you're going or why it is that you're doing what you're doing, right? It's like there are times where we should have our nose to the grindstone, but we should also lift our head every now and then to make sure that we're sort of still on track, or to at least make sure that we haven't already gotten to where it is that we were initially going to. Because I feel like if we don't do that, then it takes us to that point of the singularity, but in a way where we're creating these things that it's like they outclass us when the creation sort of out not outlasts but outpaces the creator to the point where the creator is deemed oh gosh, I got brain fog and I couldn't speak. Oh, I don't know what that's about. Right, but it's like, let's say you build something or you start something with a certain set of ideals in mind. Let's say you're creating yourself, but then after a certain amount of success or discouragement, you kind of sort of lose track of where it is that you were going and what it is that you were doing. To the point with this keeper where it's like, if you looked at yourself in a mirror, number one, would you recognize it? And number two, like, would you look back or would you avert your gaze because you can't even face what it is that you've become, who it is that you've become, or what it is that like you've put out into the world? And with the star here and with Aquarius being Aquarius, it's like this energy of whatever you do and whatever you put out, it will gain traction and it will shine in that space. Now, I don't know if this is necessarily the case, but it could also be related to, like, let's say someone did have a something that they created and that they have creative license over. Or this may be coming up for you if you got Aquarius in your chart, or if this is resonating for you or whatever, where it's like you may be coming upon, or you may have already come upon the point where you get recognition for that thing and someone's interested in buying it and partnering with you in some kind of contract, and you sign it or you're going to be looking at it. And I feel like there's just this thing where like you want to make sure that your integrity lasts the lifetime of the thing, right? So it's not one of those situations where it's like, yeah, like we were really excited, this was our big break, and we didn't really look over the contract, and they told us that they were interested, and they were for a minute, but then after a while, everything started changing, and it wasn't what it had started out to be, but we had signed over the rights to it, so there's nothing that we could do, type of energy. And for some reason, I feel like this could even be related to the space of people, where let's say you find a certain community outside of community. And so let's say that you come across someone after feeling like no one will understand you or no one gets you, and just going through life, maybe feeling a little isolated and alone because there's no real common anything that you've experienced. And then you find someone and you treasure that and you grow to hold that, but then eventually it becomes something that you need to walk away from, or something that no longer meshes or resonates. It becomes this question of like, or maybe it brings up these feelings of like maybe not knowing if you'll find a place before, and how it may be better to be not by yourself in a space that isn't great than it would be to be in a better place but with no one around you. And I feel like sometimes, relating back to the overall, we kind of sort of mentally have these little ultimatum, either or, would you rather situations based off of how things have gone in the past, that makes decision making not difficult, but there are just like things that we wouldn't necessarily consider as options because we wouldn't know that they are, because they've never been an option, or because the opportunity had never presented itself to us. And so there's this energy, especially with the star card here, right? For every single one besides the nickels. So we have a full dime, But it's like the pennies are voided and the quarters are voided because one came up tails and one came up heads. And then we get Mount Rushmore with the two heads of, is Washington on the nickel? Girl, I can't even remember. Washington is on the quarter, right? Lincoln is on the penny. Who on the nickel? Jefferson. Yeah, this is Jefferson, I believe. Um, and Jefferson was credited with writing the Declaration of Independence. And I saw the movie or musical 1776, and how, I mean, Mount Rushmore is here. So speaking of appropriated lands or decimated lands, because again, that was sacred, and we carved the faces of, we didn't do it, somebody carved the faces of the people who basically took the land and killed the people into the mountain. And then the first Declaration of Independence, some people wanted it to be written that slavery was over, right? Because, I mean, they say all men are created equal. And so I guess there's this question of like, how long are we going to allow for that truth to be misconstrued? Or how long are you going to allow it? Right? Like, you're not created below anyone else. Just because you don't find a space in one place doesn't mean that there's not one out there for you. And it doesn't mean that you have to tolerate and put up with whatever garbage someone wants to put you through because they convinced you, they preyed on your fear that no one else would, like, you would never find another space. But it feels like, again, because of history, there are these options that you don't even see as options. And so it is like a Seven of Cups energy, but it's five. And so it's like there are two more cups in addition to the two that are already standing while you're focused on the three that could fall. And that would give you four cups. Now, the Four of Cups is a really, really, really good energy. It's us being presented something by the divine that has the opportunity to change the flow of the course of our lives. But when we see it, it typically takes the space of something that we don't take or something that we feel like we've already missed. And so I would say with this mirror and with these two nickels facing each other to make a dime, and dime is a number 10, it's about completion and beginnings, right? It's ending one cycle but starting another cycle. Um, it's about looking in the mirror and correcting what has been misguided, but it's like it's straightening it out. It's like turning a funhouse mirror into a not funhouse mirror where the proportions are truer to life. And I feel like sometimes, we can have fun in a funhouse mirror because if we want to be taller, it can show us a little taller. If we want to be slimmer, it can show us a little slimmer or whatever, right? Because it deforms the image. I don't know. I don't know the word I want, but it makes it weird. But it's like at the end of the day, it has to come off because when we step away from the mirror, that's not who we are. And it's this energy of like, if you can face yourself in the mirror, it feels like something steps out of the mirror. And the something that steps out of the mirror is the you that lives that life that you've always wanted, but maybe didn't know that you could have. Because it's the you that goes after it, and it's the you that does what's necessary to have it, right? I feel like a lot of times if we grow up sort of outside of everything, then we kind of sort of self isolate. And it's like there are things that we don't go after because it's like, oh, well, I wouldn't fit in anyway, or like blah, 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 but it would fall apart in whatever way it always falls apart. But I feel like with star energy and the keeper, it's like that doesn't have to be the case. More powerful than you know. And again, it's like Aquarian energy, like you're inventing your own light that you take into that darkness. And you can invent that light however you want it, right? in whatever shape, whatever color. Like if you want it to be one of those flickering lights, it could flicker, girl. It could be a Christmas light. You can decorate a whole tree if you want to and put it on wheels. Or like make that star extra bright. And also with like you inventing the light bulb, it's like in some ways you're limited by your own capacity to be creative and to be expressive. And I feel like that's where a little bit of that Leo opposition may come in, where it may challenge you a little bit. Um, to I feel like be openly, vulnerably creative, right? Instead of prefacing everything with like, oh, I'm weird, or oh, like I do things in a different way or whatever. It's like instead of like default or automatically othering yourself because it feels like it has a little bit of like a shadowy tendril energy, like it's connected to something deeper through that umbilical cord of darkness and shadow. And the darkness and shadow being the trauma from the past. But again, it feels like if you step out bravely, boldly, and authentically, you'll come across something that encourages more of that instead of forcing you to hide that, or it's like nasty remarks followed by a no one else will X like I X. So you gotta tolerate this. And it's like, okay, yeah, no, that's not the case. Sorry, thanks, bye. Not sorry. Not sorry. No thank you. Not sorry. No thank you. Goodbye. That's what Aquarius. Not sorry. No thank you. Goodbye. Because every star's got its system. And some of those stars that we see up in the sky may actually like have entire like solar systems around them, just like the sun. But we're far enough that we can't see them because they're not luminary. Well, maybe there are some luminary planets out there, some smaller stars that orbit bigger stars. I mean, I guess our star orbits a bigger star somewhere, maybe. I don't know. Um, what was that? Yeah, they only reflect light, and yours is not a reflection. And it feels like Leo energy sometimes can like attract satellites, but Aquarian energy is the star. And so, like, if an Aquarian energy meets a Leo energy, it feels like the tension there would be between Aquarius having its own light instead of reflecting Leo's light, like planets and everything else reflects sunlight. And then Aquarius would be like these two sort of like these two things that hold gravity trying to come together. It's almost like how two like charges would be repelled by each other. But there's this energy of needing to find a balance, this binary star system or a multiple star system where it's like that tension is eased. And so maybe there's some Leo energy. I don't know. I was feeling a little bit of Pisces energy for Libra, a little bit of Leo energy for Aquarius. Also Scorpio and Taurus, maybe. I don't know. Scorpio and Taurus just popped into my mind. But oh, Scorpio and Taurus, those are the other two fixed signs. So hey, there's a world card there. Some completion coming your way. And I believe there's four heads on Mount Rushmore. So, and Mount Rushmore is fixed. It's a mountain. But okay, so there's a lot of mountain stuff. I just saw that Mount Rushmore is a little bit taller than it used to be. So the tallest mountain in the world got taller. Imagine that. Excuse me. Also read that both China and Nepal agree on the height of the mountain, and I guess they don't typically agree on the height of Mount Rushmore, but they agree on this one. Not Mount Rushmore, of Mount Everest, but they agree on this one, and it's taller than it used to be. Um, Mountains can also symbolize blockages and things like that. Um, But it's like, they could be some of the most fixed things, but we can carve through mountains. Water carves through mountains. Air carves mountains. But it may not necessarily be an all at once type of thing, right? Just like solar systems don't necessarily form all at once. Sometimes it takes time, it takes collisions, it takes all kinds of things. But when things break away, they sort of form a life and flavor of their own, right? And I think that's something else. I think that's another message um, for y'all's as well. It's this energy of like, just because something started out one way doesn't mean that it's going to stay that way forever, right? That's how we get so much variety on Earth. And even like among people, as things migrate, as things separate, and as they encounter different environments and have different experiences, they grow and evolve and change in different ways. And so, whatever pattern or hold that something may have on you, or that you think something may have on you, and it feels very mental, that doesn't always have to be the case. But again, with that Leo energy, I feel like it would take you putting yourself in different environments and take you putting yourself in different situations and allowing yourself to grow in those spaces to come out of, break free of one orbit to the point where you can kind of sort of create your own. So that's what I got. I feel like I could keep going with Aquarius, but all I got is some change. The theme is change, change, change. Okay. I almost made it through one without being weird. Oh, goodness. Okay, okay. All right, all right. All right, Aquarius. I'll talk to y'all later. I hope y'all have a really amazing, wonderful time. And I'm smiling so big right now. Um, I hope y'all have a good whatever whenever you see this. I hope this finds you well. And if it didn't find you well, I hope you get much better. And I feel like telling you, you deserve better. But also at the same time, they say that necessity is the mother of invention. I can't remember if it's necessity or war, but let's leave the war behind because war creates necessity. Imagine that. And there are so many things that we have now because of like NASA and stuff like that, right? It's like these are things that we needed to create in an environment and situation where the gravity was different or to survive this transit. And because of that, now there's something here at home that we have to benefit from. So again, it's that growth and expansion that happens through different environments that's really going to benefit and suit you. It may need a bit of a ingenuitive, creative touch to adapt one thing to another. And I forgot where that initial train of thought was going, but you deserve better. You deserve more. Necessity is the mother of invention. So if there is some difficulty that you experienced, it's not for it to keep you bound or to prove what you are deserving of or what you're not deserving of. It's to present you with a challenge, with a problem to invent and create your way out of in a way that is luminary enough to also guide others and to help them escape that darkness. It's not easy pioneering, Aquarius, but imagine where we'd be without all of those brave Aquarian souls and Aquarian energies that, were a little crazy and out there and who invented things or who did things or who believed things that no one thought possible or acceptable at the time. But now, today, we can't even imagine thinking otherwise or living otherwise. So, thank you, Aquarius. Thank you. You may not know what I'm thanking you for yet. I don't know what I'm thanking you for yet, but I feel like I should thank you, right? Because I don't know how much thanks all of those people got when they were pioneering. Probably would have been very encouraging, but they always had, it seems, they've always had at least one person who believed in them. And if you can't find one person to believe in you, Aquarius, then you can be the one person that believes in you. Because that's what really matters anyway. All right. Have a good one, Aquarius. Gemini, hi. Hello. Where are you? Where's okay, Gemini. So I think y'all are officially now the sign that has gotten the most attention from me since I started rolling this die. And let's see what's up. I don't know where we're going, Gemini. I feel like we go back and forth, Gemini. I feel like one week it's like real good. I'm like, oh my gosh. Another week it's like in the transitional period, and another week it's like whoa. And so I'm like whoa, and you're probably like whoa, and we're both like wait. So you have the initiate, um, which honestly, this initiate card feels like you've been sitting on something. It feels like you've kind of been avoiding a leap or avoiding doing something that you know you should be doing for a while. But in that avoidance comes preparation, right? So it's actually getting easier to do, but you may not see how that could be the case. Or you may not feel that that's the case. But I feel like it's actually been getting easier and easier. Like, mind the gap whenever you get off of the train. Uh, right? It's like, mind the gap. But it's like the gap is closing, the margin is getting narrower. But in the cerebral realm, it's like, what is that? It's not like this, the Merkaba shape. It's like almost like a snowflake. Snowflake obsidian is a crystal, uh, I believe. Snowflake is a variety of obsidian. And so maybe look that up. I don't know. Sacred geometry. Some kind of sacred geometry that fractals off of itself in a way that a snowflake can, but the fractals aren't necessarily representative of the structure of the whole. And so it kind of sort of twists the definition of what a fractal is, because a fractal typically is a recreation or a replication of the whole configured differently off of some branching path. But since this is different, it's not necessarily a true by definition fractal. But this difference is important and admirable and respected. Because what it does is it allows for evolution in a space where there is none. Because if you think about it, if everything is a fractal of something else, it doesn't have the opportunity to change or to evolve or to, right? It's like a creature that has the ability to self-replicate, but what's the word that I want? It starts with the C, I think. I'll just say sex. Sex leads to genetic diversity because we take part of the genes from this and part of the genes from this and we put it together to create something new. A different combination, one that may be resistant to or able to do what neither could do apart. But in self replication, it's repeating the same sort of sequence over and over and over, unless there is some like random mutagenesis or some process. No, because it would still only have itself to create from. So yeah, it would be like random mutagenesis. But this is the beautiful thing about whatever this energy is. It's that it's able to replicate within self, meaning that it doesn't need the assistance. It doesn't depend on the assistance. Yeah, it doesn't need the assistance, need or depend on the assistance of something else to further itself, but it doesn't lose out on that evolutionary advantage of diversity. I don't know what any of that means, Gemini, but I feel like there's power in that. I got some change. Let's get some. Okay, well, you got 2 coins, Gemini. You got a penny and a quarter. Oh, look, they're both heads. The penny is upside down, and the quarter is upright. But because the penny is upside down, they're both facing the same direction. Instead of, because if the penny was upright, they would be facing opposite directions. Y'all can't see. Maybe you can. Okay, yeah, maybe you can see it. Yeah, if it were upright, they'd be facing opposite directions. Now, the years, I see a 19 girl. Well, a 19 something, we can't see her. We can't see the quarter either, because the year is on the back of the quarter. So the year doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how old, how long, how whatever. This has been going on. And with 2 heads, that's a double yang energy. And so, but the second yang energy, it's a yang yin energy, and yang yin energy is the element of fire. Yang yang energy is the element of air. And so there is this like self combustion, this ignition. This is what we talked about last time. So I'm gonna keep this fairly brief. If you check out the last video I did, you can check out the Mutable Signs playlist, and it should be at the top right now. I can't remember what it was called, but that was all about sort of like Gemini looking outside of itself for like validation and things like that, where it has everything that it needs within, but because it's not looking at, recognizing, or accepting what is within, it's missing out on something. And with Gemini energy being such a social energy, it's like prime mercurial energy. I feel like there is a lot of exchange that happens, but there's nothing inside. And so, if, since we're talking about change and currency, it's like if all of your dollars are in like imports, then your local economy will suffer. If your infrastructure falls apart and it's not addressed, the local economy will suffer. And what it does is, it's like you can continue to exchange with other places, but the value of your currency will decrease. And so the quality of those exchanges, it's like you eventually lose more and more because everything else, because oh, wow. I'm not trying to cry, Gemini, because I was going to say because everything becomes worth more. And I was like, no, it's not that everything becomes worth more. It's because you become worth less. And then there may be a Gemini that feels worthless in some way. And again, it feels like an eclipsed Gemini energy. And it's not for anyone to feel worthless. Hopefully, there aren't any Gemini energies out there feeling worthless, because that's heartbreaking. Here I was, like, I feel like that's a whole Pisces Gemini trip, though. It's like, we're talking about this, or we're diving into this, and then eventually it's like, oh, oh, oh. Hopefully, you're not feeling worthless. Oh gosh. Like I wish I could just like insert the clip of how my brain just did that whole thing of like, it's not that like they're worth more, it's that you're worth less. And then I was like, oh, worthless food. Um, but that's not the case. And it's this need to build and establish and to increase your own foundation. in a way that is less dependent on other people. And it does feel like a little bit outside of the realm of Mercury, because that's Mercury's job, is to go in between. And it's like, well, who delivers messages to Mercury? Does Mercury ever get a break? Does Mercury get a day off? It's like rain or snow or sleet or hail. USPS delivers that mail. And they don't even get Sundays off anymore because of the Amazon contract. And we're coming into holiday season where, everything, the demand increases and there's even less breaks. And it can be a sort of thankless job, and it can be underappreciated, and it is so vital in a way that we all know and understand, but I feel like don't necessarily have the capacity to really understand unless we did it ourselves. Right? Because it's like it's one thing to try to imagine like the increase in volume and what it would be like to work all those hours, but it's another thing when you actually do it. And Gemini energy being that like curious toddler type energy, or not toddler, but like that energy of a young person who gets into like anything and everything for the experience. It's an experiential learner rather than like a theoretical learner like Sagittarius would be, right? And so it's not about the theory, it's all about the practice with Gemini. It's like, I got to stick the fork in the electric socket to know that it'll shock me. I have to burn myself on the stove to know that it's hot. I have to do this and I have to do that to know for sure. And it's like, well, how would you know if you never done it? But somewhere, it's like it's become Sagittarian in that it's been convinced of a theory that it hasn't even put into practice. It feels like it's become overly reliant on something, or something has become overly reliant on it to the point where it leads Gemini energy to sort of like second guess itself because of the demands that are put on it and the restrictions. Oh, goodness. I need to. Oh my gosh, what did I say in Libra? I can't remember if I said it out loud, but I was like, I'm drinking all this tea for Libra. Ain't gonna be no tea left for Gemini. And I just picked up my cup and there's like nothing in here but the tea bag. You see that? There's a little bit of liquid in there. I got a sip for you, Gemini. And I think that was Sagittarius last time. I did the mutable signs. Sagittarius had the energy of desiccation, which was drying up, and no, Gemini is pretty dry. And I did just talk about a Sagittarian influence with Gemini. The gap is closing, though. If there's something that you didn't think you would ever do, you're gonna do it. And it kind of sort of feels like a breaking point at this point, but it's to not be broken. And there's actually a lot more going for you than not. Like the one in reverse is the penny. You have a whole quarter up here. Now, Honest Abe is in reverse, so there may be some things that you need to take a good, honest look at that you're not. And I don't know if it's because of like a self thing or if it's because, hold up, let me look at my timer because I got something to do here in 7 seconds. Okay. So I'm gonna stop this. No, I'm not. It's about to go off. I couldn't get to it before. There it is. That's funny. That's entertaining. And it was 12:57. It's 12:57, and I was like, "Oh, hold up, wait! I set a timer for something." And then I was like, "Let me turn it off before it goes off, and then I'll just do whatever I need to do after this video." But it was 7 seconds from going off, so I feel like at like before expiration, before things break down, before whatever, you will have that insight. It will come back to your mind. You will remember. And I didn't necessarily catch the alarm in time because I gave up, honestly. If I would have remembered, all I would have had to have done is to, and it's so weird because like all I would have had to have done is swipe down because I had the timer on a shortcut in my little menu, and I could have used that shortcut to immediately open it up and turn it off before it went off, but I forgot about it. And what's interesting is I've accessed the quick access menu so many times, and I never use my timer. So I was like, why is that active? Why is that active? Why is that active? And it's like, oh, because that's the timer. Oh, that's the timer. Oh, that's the timer. But when I wanted to actually get to the timer, I forgot it was there. I remembered that it was about to go off, but I forgot the shortcut that I created for myself because I put the timer on there. But, it's because I've been telling Siri to set timers that I've gotten lazy and I've forgotten that I put it in there in the first place. But there is this energy of something that's already been prepared, like a way out is already prepared if you want to take it. I feel like there is an energy of reaching a breaking point, and hopefully you do what you need to do for you before you reach that point. But it feels like, honestly, also with the quarter being upright, it feels like there is something being broken. Like Gemini is remembering. It's stopping like fighting that tower energy. And it's like this like energy of like if I leap I won't fall. Whatever the situation is, I feel like there is a little bit of hesitance. Or not hesitance, there may have been like time put into it. And it's like this energy of like, it wasn't all bad. Um Maybe an energy of like maybe something that can be saved or salvaged. But I feel like that's an assessment that you could do from outside the situation, right? I feel like if you know that a building is moments from caving in, um, you should probably move all of your stuff out of that building first. And then if you want to assess it, do it safely and maybe have a professional. But again, like I couldn't read the year, so it doesn't matter. Boy, I've been waiting. Now you want to email me? That ain't even who I needed. That's not even who I needed. It's fine. So I'm doing some stuff in my personal life, and there's supposed to be some folks helping me. There are some folks who are helping me, but they don't necessarily always get back to me as timely as I would like them to. And so it's led me to do some things on my own, which is fine, because it's given me the opportunity, I guess, to deepen my understanding and to be creative, get creative, and to do whatever I need to do. I don't need anyone else to do it. But if I could make it easier on myself, there's a point where I do that. But again, it doesn't always come to pass. And if it does, it's probably after I already found a different solution. And the solution that I find, since it's based in further learning, even if I wasn't exactly on that track, I can convert everything that I already had right over and be right there. And most of the time it's because of things that weren't explicitly stated. And I'm just like, okay, how was I supposed to have read that? But anyway, so again, I can't remember if it was for you or for Aquarius. I think it was for you. There is this energy of like, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was for you. Like while you haven't been like while you've been avoiding taking the sleep, you've been preparing, and it's been made easier and easier and easier, even if it doesn't feel like it. And it's like faith without the fear of, or faith, I guess, is the fear of leaping and not falling. Because I feel like with the quarter upright and the penny in reverse, um, there is this need to balance your own input with that which comes from others. Someone may be like strongly opinionated, but just because somebody else is strongly opinionated, girl, don't mean that you can't have your own brain. Hello? And Gemini has their own mind. I feel like Gemini's mind can't be so easily like bought or consumed. but it's like you can disregard the things that you're thinking or that you know. So it's like it doesn't stop the thought from coming. You just may dismiss it until one day you don't. And I think it's time to start giving yourself more credit, Gemini. And again, I feel like this is another one that I can go further into, but all I got is 2 coins on the table. I ain't got no cards. I don't need cards, but I would be more comfortable with cards. A lot of times, and maybe this is also applicable for you and some of Gemini, a lot of times I use cards as like validation for what I'm already getting. And I like it because it's a way for me, I feel like it substantiates what I'm saying. Right? Sometimes you get a card and things go in a direction that you were not expecting and you're like blindsided. Yeah, that's fair. But sometimes it's like you know where it's going and you know what's happening. But like without that validation, it's almost like there's no reason to say anything or no reason to do anything. But it's to not always need that validation. Right? Or also it's that like sometimes it's to not wait for that validation, to be a little bit more proactive. Because if you're proactive in the moment, it'll save you from being reactive later. So there's a whole lot that can be said, Gemini. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I feel like you already know what it is that you need to know. You just got to give yourself more credit and value yourself more. Well, I feel like it's not that. Yeah, I guess it is. And like you may be sort of in this loop of like, well, I don't think it's like that I don't value myself because I do value myself. But again, it's like that going back to like worthless type of thing. Or it's like, yeah, maybe you value yourself. It's not like you go to the currency exchange and they're like, yeah, the difference, the discrepancy between these two currencies are so vast that there is not a bill to like if you had an infinite supply of this, you still wouldn't even get a cent of the other thing. So it's effectively zero. Right? Like that's not the case. But it's almost like wherever you put the weight, because you decide, right? You are the currency exchange worker, and your currency, and you're both. And where a lot of people would probably overly inflate their worth, it's like you're underly deflating yours. And maybe you're dealing with someone who's like overly inflating theirs to the point where it kind of sort of consumes yours. But again, like you have your own thing. You need to start valuing yourself more and to equalize that exchange rate. Because I feel like you have a lot more to offer and give than what it is that you're being valued for or what it is that you're giving. Um, but I'm not going to say that it won't, I'm not going to say that it'll be easy because it's still a leap, right? Like whether you fall or not, you still have to take that leap. Whether you're afraid or not, you still got to do it. There's still action that needs to be taken. There are still things that need to be done, right? It's an egg. I don't think the understanding, I feel like there may be like a preliminary understanding, but like once you actually, it's like you could be sort of eclipsed by the shadow of Sagittarian energy, where you could be integrating the light of Sagittarian energy into who you are to have an understanding that goes beyond what just practice will give you. Because practice can teach you the motions and it could teach you sort of like what's feasible and realistic and what's not, but it doesn't necessarily get as deep into the workings of the mechanism as Sagittarian energy can. But again, that's why Sagittarian energy has to be like tested and experimented and proven several times over. And it also has to be replicable by others. And I think sometimes we kind of sort of go, or like sometimes Sagittarian energy can go like really hard in the theory to the point where they forget that it has to be like it, you have to practice it and it has to be replicable in order for it to be proven as like valid, right? It's more than just a thought. Like theory, a lot of times we look at theory because of what it's come to mean and we think that it's just like this is what somebody thought and this is what somebody else thought. Like a theorem, like theorems are proven and they're tested and they're replicated over and over and over and over. So like Einstein's, I think it's Einstein's theory of like relativity, like it's not just something that he thought about and never put into practice. It was practiced. It's not a hypothesis. A theory and a hypothesis are two completely different things. A theory is a proven hypothesis, basically. And it's like, Gemini can get into the practice and the practice and the practice, but it's like practice without thought. That's like hamster wheel type energy. And it's not that you're necessarily going in circles, but it feels like the light of Sagittarian, like a light Sagittarian integration, will help you sort of recognize larger cycles outside of smaller ones. And it's like it'll get you to remember certain things so you're not repeating the same thing and like learning the same thing over again. Maybe journaling will be helpful for you potentially, because I'm seeing it as like if you can keep a record of what it is that you've done, then even you, not even you, like you're like not that bright, but it's like if you keep a record, I feel like you would be able to see it. Like if it's written down, you would be able to see it. It's like, oh wait, like this, okay, that repeats. And it's like there are these numbers that, like pi, where we say it's these infinitely, excuse me, these infinitely long numbers that never repeat. But maybe if we can find the pattern in it and restructure it, we'd be able to work pi down to an integer instead of a decimal. Like what, 3.1415927, whatever. Some people can go like 100 digits of pi. And some people take pride in 100 digits of pi, but here's some Gemini, Sagittarian, North Node, South Node. It's like, some people can take pride in how many digits of pi they memorize to the point where, like, if we're like, oh, well, if we actually sort of like redefine how we find pi, it's like a whole number integer. And then like, that's incorrect because what you're not going to do is come in here and take the accomplishment away from me of knowing 100 digits of pi. And it's like, okay, but that's unnecessary. And maybe Gemini energy has been doing a lot of unnecessary things to appease others, or maybe to appease self, right? And it's like it's time to sort of cut that out because it's taking away energy from something that could be going to like furthering the life of whatever's inside its head. Anyway, that went all of this I didn't necessarily expect, but that's fine. There you go, air signs. I hope this resonates. There you go, Gemini. Goodness, I'm already ready to just move on. I'm already ready to just move on from Gemini. I didn't even give you your full goodbye. I hope you have a good whenever you see this, Gemini, and I hope you're acting in alignment to make it even better. And I hope that you find a place and space to appreciate the many, many, many different aspects of who you are. Because just like that fractal, that's not necessarily an exact recreation of what it's branching off of, it doesn't make it any less you. But that's your gift. Your gift is that you can be, like they say every snowflake is unique. Well, you're the snowflake that has like every branch is unique. Like this part of the snowflake is different from that part of the snowflake, and it's different from that part of the snowflake. And a lot of times what happens is like we're sort of exposed to these singular stimulus influences. And that singular influence, like a pebble in a pond, radiates and ripples outwards. But what happens when you drop multiple things in at the same time is they develop, it's like different spaces and places develop differently based on the relative picture and based on the relative scale. It's very solar system type of energy. It's very gravitational pull type of energy, where it's like, let's say you have the moon, right? Everything experiences gravity from everything to a certain extent, but over a certain distance, it's like that influence basically drops to zero. And basically dropping to zero means that there's something else that's probably closer that would have more of an influence on it. Or again, it's just so far, it's negligible. So, like, even the moon experiences gravity from the sun, but because the moon is as close to the earth as it is, it orbits the earth more than it orbits the sun, even though everything is still orbiting the sun, right? And then, you have planets like Saturn and Jupiter with multiple moons. And so it's like, it's localized. It's different over here than it is over here because there are these influences over here. It's I can't break it down any more than that because my brain will implode if I try. But I hope you get where I'm trying to go with that, right? It's like there are many factors and there are many influences that give you the ability to wear many different hats and to have such a uniquely stratified. It's like you could be this light that encompasses all colors and not be white, right? A lot of times if every wavelength from the spectrum of light is present, it will present itself as white, which is the combination of all of those. But it's like you could be the combination of all of those, but still at times express different things within it, but not be. It's like you can express the different things in it, but still be all things at the same time. It's probably not making any sense, but that's where I'm going with that. I hope you got it, Gemini. That's what I got for you, Gemini. That's what I got for y'all air signs. If you watch this, I hope you find something that resonates and helps you. I will catch y'all later. Again, have a good whenever y'all see this, and I hope y'all is acting in alignment to make it even better because I feel like there is so much that's possible. But it does require some effort on our parts. And that may be kind of like it may be like, ugh, I gotta put in effort, but it's actually beautiful because in some ways it gives us a say. We have an opportunity to determine, to impact, to decide how things play out. Instead of just like, oh yeah, things are less bad than they were before, so that's great. And it's like, yeah, but things could be even better. Like we could tailor make them, we can custom make them, we can design them, we can lean them towards something that will actually bring us even greater fulfillment. And again, it's not necessarily being ungrateful, or it's not about not appreciating what we already have, but it's incorporating this ability to really take charge and to continuously improve. And I think that's another thing about air energy versus earth energy, because I kind of opened up with earth versus air, is that I feel like earth energy is very, very stable. And so it's like if it's not broke, don't fix it. If it don't need to change, it ain't no need to rearrange it. But air energy is the energy of continuous improvement and of integrative, not integrative, what is it? Iterative of and continuous improvement, continuous improvement and iterative approaches where it's consistently a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. And what it does is that it creates that skyscraper type of energy where we learn to build higher and higher and higher instead of like having these, like everyone's house is sort of like all buildings are a fixed height and there's no real difference in between. Um, yeah. All right. I'm trying to get too deep into it with too little here to like confine it. And so I'm going all over the place, which is fine. That's another reason why I like cards because they help like condense things down a little bit. But even sometimes still, I'm like, whoa, where is this? Anyway, ramble over. Have a good time. And if you're not having a good time, I hope you're at least having the time that you want to have. So if you want to be miserable, that's your choice and that's your right to be miserable.